Hey guys, today we're looking at powers of 10 and place value. Complete the following place value table. All right, so in the top row, we want to have all the powers of 10. So let's build on that 10 squared that represents 100. So if 10 squared is 100, then 10 to the first is tens, 10 to the 0 is ones. Going the opposite way, 10 to the third would be 1,000, 10 to the fourth would be 10,000, 10 to the fifth is 100,000, and 10 to the sixth is a million. Now we can take that and fill in the standard form of each. Well, anything to the 0 power is 1, so 10 to the 0 is 1. 1 times 10 is 10, so that makes sense. 10 to the first is 10. 10 squared is 100, and 10 times 10 is 100, so that makes sense. You can also think of it as being a 1 with 2 zeros. 10 to the third is 1,000, or a 1 with 3 zeros. 10 to the fourth is 10,000, or a 1 with 4 zeros. 10 to the fifth is 100,000, or a 1 with 5 zeros. And 10 to the sixth is a million, or a 1 with 6 zeros. So our positive powers of 10s are going to be really easy. The negative ones get a little bit more challenging. And if you remember these, it's going to make your life a lot easier in the next coming classes. So for our powers of 10s with negative exponents, we can build on that 10 to the negative second again. So 10 to the negative second, like 10 squared, represents hundreds or hundredths. So 10 to the negative second is hundredths, 10 to the negative first is tenths, 10 to the negative third is thousandths, 10 to the negative fourth is 10,000ths, 10 to the negative fifth is hundred thousandths, and 10 to the negative sixth is millionths. Okay, so continuing to build on that, underneath each one, we can write it as a fraction. So remember our negative exponent rules. When you have a negative exponent, it flips the base and makes it the reciprocal. So 10 to the negative first is like 1 over 10 to the first, which is just 1/10. 10 to the negative second is like 1 over 10 squared, which is 1/100th. 10 to the negative third is 1 over 10 to the third, or 1/1000th. 10 to the negative fourth is 1 over 10 to the fourth, or 1 over 10,000. 10 to the negative fifth is 1 over 10 to the fifth, or 1 over 100,000. So then last, 10 to the negative sixth would be 1 over a million. All right, and then we're going to take that and write it as a decimal. So 1/10, you all should know, is 0.1. If we erase this decimal here, it would look like a 10 backwards. 100th is 0.01. And again, if I got rid of that decimal, it would look like a 100 backwards. 1 over 1,000 is 0.001. Again, if I got rid of that decimal, it would look like 1,000 backwards. 1/10,000th is already giving. Building on that, 1 over 100,000 would be 0.00001, or a 10,000 backwards, or 100,000 backwards rather. And then a million would be 0.000001, or a million backwards. A thing I like to think of is when I'm doing the decimal ones is to think of how many places back the decimal brings it. So that exponent says -1, so the 1 should be 1 place back from the decimal. Here it says -2, so the 1 is 2 places back. Here it says -3, so the 1 is 3 places back. Here it's -4, so the 1 is 4 places back. Here it's -5, so the 1 is 5 places back. And here it's -6, so the 1 is 6 places back. So if that helps you write it as a decimal, that's something you can keep in mind for the future. All right, so now we're going to use these tables and rewrite some numbers. So use the chart above to write the following numbers as shown in number 1 in expanded form with powers of 10, then using exponents. So expanded form is something you've seen before, but now we're adding the idea of exponents to it. So 4 times 100 is 4 times 10 squared. 50,000 is 5 times 10,000, which is 5 times 10 to the fourth. Okay, I can know it's 10 to the fourth because there are 4 zeros in 10,000, if that helps. Number 3, 20 is 2 times 10, so that's 2 times 10 to the first. Number 4, 9 million is 9 times a million. So that's 9 times 10 to the 6th. And number 7 is 0.6, which is 6 times 0.1, which is 6 times 10 to the negative first. So you're going to go back and do all the ones that I skipped on your own. Check in with me to make sure that you've got them right before moving on. All right, so if you add the numbers together from problems 1 through 6, you get 9,750,423 and 68 hundredths. The expanded form of that number is 9 times 10 to the 6th plus 7 times 10 to the 5th plus 5 times 10 to the 4th plus 4 times 10 squared plus 2 times 10 to the 1st plus 3 times 10 to the 0 plus 6 times 10 to the negative 1st and one more, 8 times 10 to the negative 2nd. So all of those represent the place value of each part of the number. Put it together, we get the number itself. So write the following numbers in expanded form as shown above. So the 4 is in the hundredths place. So this is going to be 4 times 10 squared plus the 5 is in the tens place. So that's 5 times 10 to the first. The 0 is in the ones place. So I'm going to skip that. The 8 is in the tenths place. So that's 8 times 10 to the negative first. Plus the 1 is in the hundredths place. That's 1 times 10 to the negative second. It's 2 places back from the decimal. And plus 9 times 10 to the negative third, because that's in the thousandths place, and it's 3 places back from the decimal. Okay, so hopefully you see that. It's not so hard to figure out. You're going to try number 10 on your own. While this is loading, apparently, you can be working on number 10. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. There we go. Okay, so number 11, we have 7 is in the hundred thousands place. So that's 7 times 10 to the 5th. 0 is in the 10,000s place, and I can skip it. 6 is in the thousands place, so that's 6 times 10 to the 3rd. Plus 2 is in the hundreds place, so that's 2 times 10 squared. 9 is in the tens place, so that's plus 9 times 10 to the 1st. 5 is in the ones place, so that's plus 5 times 10 to the 0. 0 is in the tenths, but we can skip it. 3 is in the hundredths, so that's plus 3 times 10 squared, or 10 to the negative second, because it's 2 places back from the decimal. All right, you're going to try number 12 on your own. Then the last part says to write the following in standard form. So we have all of this expanded form, and we need to rewrite it in standard form. So 5 times 10 to the 7th is 50 million. We're going to skip and go to the 6th. So that's 10 to the 6th. So that's 54. Then we skip and have a 0 because the 5th place is missing. And we have 7 times 10 to the 4th. So I'm going to write 7. Then plus 9 times 10 to the 3rd. So I'm going to write plus 9 or put the 9 in there. And 8 times 10 squared. And then we don't have a 1 or a 0. So I'm going to put in 2 zeros. And then we have a 1 to the negative first. So that's 1 in the tenths place, and a 6 times 10 to the negative second, so that's a 6 in the hundredths place. So I can fill in my missing commas, and we have 54,079,816 hundredths. And I could go back and check it over to make sure every number is in the right place. As I said before, the 5 is in the 10 million place, the 4 is in the 6 million place, or the million place rather. The 7 is in the 10,000 place. The 9 is in the thousands place. The 8 is in the hundreds place. So it looks like we did that all right. You're going to try number 14 on your own as well. And then you can move on to today's exit question and homework.